Hello, welcome back to Positively Power. I have the pleasure of being joined by my friends once again. So, hello, I'm David Spurbeck, Global Principal for IBM Power, and I'm joined by Erica, who's
Oh, welcome
waving,
back, Joe.
and Mark Jones, who I'm pointing in a certain direction that
Hey,
might not work.
hey everyone. Mark Jones here from commercial side of Power Brand in the UK and Ireland.
And so, some time ago, quite a few years ago, we actually were thinking about the general pressures and strains that can happen at this time of year, and we created Positively Power at this time of the year because it is actually something that's quite interesting, quite a different balance that takes place. Is that we know at the end of the year for IBM, it's a commercial pressured time, and therefore there can be a lot of pressures around. Also, in our personal lives, we know that Christmas is a joyful, happy time, but it can also involve quite a lot of stress. As I think my best mate messaged me just today, after all, it was about the fact that family and friends, family particularly, can be a huge source of support, but they can also be a huge source of stress. And so it's the sort of thing where we created Positive Power at this interesting time of the year to be able to share positive messages about this space and be able to look at that. And so Christmas, as I say, is that for me. That for me, in my world as a technical person, there can be a lot of conversation about. We're all closing deals, happy closing, finish the year strong, close, 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 close. Actually, as a techie, if you're still talking to me now, you're getting late. If you're still talking to me in about a week's time, it's too late. And so quite a lot of the technical world can be hurry up and wait. There may be a sudden panic, and maybe a thing that we need to do quick, and there's sort of stress to do it when it comes in. But also we can have quite gaps where you're waiting and go, actually, that can be stressful in its own right. Am I adding enough value? Those sorts of things. It can be a difficult time. And so we created it in the first place at that point. And now we're back, and hopefully we can be of some use and help to your audience as we move forward into that space. Anyone want to comment on that stuff at this point?
Yeah, I'll go. I think you hit on something, David, because despite, I mean, how many years ago was it, Positively Power? Oof, good,
I think
what,
Five,
5 years
five,
ago?
six
it
years
was
ago.
2017. It was five. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if any of us can kind of look at it and go, we now handle this period of the year better than maybe we did before. Um, And I think that's part of life, isn't it? Like your life continues to get in the way and evolve, your jobs, your relationships, the environment, the social economic situation that we all find ourselves in. But we're better equipped to handle more. But it's a continuous journey, isn't it? Like the moment you think you've kind of, oh yeah, I can handle Christmas, something else will come and kind of bite you in the arse and go, yeah, can you really? And you kind of, it's like a continuous journey. So, I mean, I've had some conversations even in the last week, not stuff that maybe is impacted me, fortunately, but there's a lot of people out there, I think, who do maybe struggle more at this time of year for various reasons. Whether that is financially, whether that's from a relationship point of view, like loneliness, being on their own potentially, and one of the key ones, like you say, is family, because it's a time when everybody does come back together, and you're kind of thrust into this, one maybe lounge in somebody's house, depending on whose turn it is that year, and then there's like no escape from those people at times. And as much as we love them, it can be quite challenging, right? It's
Right.
kind of
Totally.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
And I think you were also talking about how you're facing the year end as well, and how actually it's a little different in my space. So if you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, from a business perspective, from a corporate world perspective, this is the busiest time of the year, and I actually love it. I get a real buzz from it. Every day is different. You might be talking about the same kind of opportunities, but it's slightly different angle. You get to work with a lot more people in a short space of time. So I really enjoy that buzz of it. For me, it's been over the 12 years or so I've been doing this particular role, something that I've always looked forward to. I'd love a little bit more time to enjoy the build up to Christmas, maybe eat a few more chocolates and watch a few more Christmas movies, but actually the buzz of this and thinking about it from a growth perspective, what you learn in this intense period of time really stands you in good stead for what's coming kind of next year. So I love it personally.
Think
It's a
about
kind of it's kind of a good stress, right?
And I think I have a mix of both of you, because looking at the channel business, I've got Mark, I've got Tom, all over. Let's see how we can absolutely reach the right technical and commercial um, solutions for our clients, making sure that we get them everything that we can before we know that the inevitable price rises come, and they're looking after our clients and at the coalface doing that. And I get involved in a lot of that with our business partners, a lot of customer calls, which is just brilliant. But also, it's a time of year where we're asked to look at 2023 and how do we align our teams, how reflect on 2022, what worked, what didn't work, what works, changes maybe we're going through corporately, how do we reflect the market and the market changes that are going to happen. And then we're a sales organization, how do we maintain that momentum that goes into January, February, March, that says, actually, my client didn't want to buy what I wanted to sell them in December.
Mm-hmm.
They actually fits for their business and their structure to do that later in the year. How can I maintain the communication and the conversation with them when all the pressure on me is to deliver my number? But how can I look to my channel partners who possibly don't have quite as much pressure, because unless the 10th IBM phones them and asks them, how can we maintain our connection with our clients, and how can we, people by people, how can we make sure that the festive spirit and the season of the new year goes through into making sure that we have a pipeline for next year and we have a business that runs smoothly and properly, because businesses run on projection as well as on closing. And I think that's a really good point. Sorry, that on the 31st of January, we are running a client and business partner event in London, which was postponed from October due to the sad passing of Queen Elizabeth. Running on the 31st of January, and alongside that we will be revisiting our backpack competition and our social media backpack competition. So backpacks will be out for those people who didn't get one the first time round. Invites to the event as well. If you registered for the event before, then we will have special gift for you if coming and attending the second time. But backpack competition runs as before. It was put your backpack in the most exciting places you went on your summer adventures, tag it on LinkedIn and win an Apple Watch. This time, tag your backpack in a picture of what your New Year's resolution would look like. What do you want to change or improve or do differently in 2023? Take a picture, tag us, and hot off the press, Apple Watch got delivered. So it is real life. I should probably open it. It'll probably look better if I open it. Oh, there you go. I had opened it. There you go.
Apple design.
Apple Watch
Nice.
could be yours.
Very cool.
In our competition, open to clients and partners only. Obviously, IBMers just do it for fun, but we had some really great stories running on LinkedIn and on Twitter on that. So, yeah, get in touch and get a backpack from us, and we'll relaunch that competition.
It was a good. It was a really good campaign, actually, wasn't it? It was fun to see everybody kind of getting involved in it. And so January is about what? Is about setting your intentions and resolutions for the year, is it?
Yeah. So
Thanks.
grab your Power 10 backpack. Let us know if you haven't got one. We'll get one to you, and take a picture of. Have a think about what it is you would do differently. You want to improve personally, business wise. There you go. All the best people have them, David. And take a picture, tag us in it, and that's how you win the competition. Yeah, but I think it's a really interesting time. I think there's a lot of pressure on New Year's resolutions, actually, but equally, I think it's a really exciting time to clear out some cobwebs, make a fresh start, have a think about what you would do a little bit differently to improve yourself going forward.
And in my case, actually, what I'm really hoping for is not too much change. That for me, as I approach the end of the year, as you say, Erica, we need to plan, we need to change. And there's for me quite a few times in the last few years, there's been significant change. I've had my team dissolve around me the last 2 years, and I'm crossing my fingers that does not happen this time, and I can move forward into the new year and be able to take that onwards. And I do find myself in this new job, and it's still fairly new to me at the moment. Some elements are still the sorts of things I haven't done this before, and therefore it's, as you said, Mark, learning, and it's interesting, but it's also a bit scary. So I'm hoping things don't change in some ways, and I can move forward, and I can find myself going out on more runs, having a little bit of a think. And so that's one of the ones that I did recently, was that we have inside of IBM these things called sales plays, and so I was tasked with coming up with a little bit of a message about how we actually incorporate how Power works with these sales plays. And so I went for a run and I thought about it, and I thought the central part to this is about making vital Vital Data. Vital Data sits inside of IBM Power, inside of our IBM Eyes, inside of Oracle and AIX, inside of SAP HANA, Vital Data, and important conversations about Vital Data. And the rest could take a little bit longer, but that's the general idea, is that it's actually, I think, the sales plays are important conversations about Vital Data. And Erica, you had some thoughts about important conversations along those lines that I think you wanted to share.
Yeah, and you know, I'd love if they were my thoughts, but I am going to admit that I'm massively stealing from some chap called Arvind Krishna, who may or may not be the CEO of IBM. But he
We're
did an
not at school
interview
anymore, though,
recently.
so stealing's fine. It's all good. So yeah, no problem.
Was it imitation is the highest form of flattery?
Yeah,
is that what
yeah,
they say?
yeah.
So Arvind did an interview on CNBC, and you know what? He's so good and so calm in front of the camera. He's really charismatic, and I think his technical background really helps him be seated firmly in knowledge behind what he's saying. So, to summarize what he said, he was asked how he felt IBM would fare against the current macroeconomic changes. And he nodded. He looked at the different regions of the world for IBM, but the pieces he pulled out were: we were facing high interest rates, high inflation, extreme currency changes, supply chain issues globally for our customers and for our competitors, and he said demographic issues, so shortage of skilled labour, were facing our clients. And he was asked, well, what does that mean for IBM? Are we, because we're on an upturn at the moment, if you look at our share prices, does he predict that to then be decline? And he said absolutely not. He said technology is a deflationary answer to today's macro struggles, and his examples were enterprise tech, which is what we sell, software, hardware, is strong because tech is for automation. So we get around some of those skilled labor shortages with automation. He said tech is for supply chains. If you can increase the efficiency of your supply chains. Yeah, we went through 2 years where perhaps there weren't enough people in the factories, but actually it's about building it, getting the parts to the factory, getting the factory to build it, and then getting the logistics to ship it out. So there's multiple facets in each of those parts that actually technology can speed up. And technology for security, because the less you lose, the less you have to regain. And I listened to that and I thought, one, he's an incredibly powerful speaker, but also power plays to all of those.
Mm-hmm.
So coming back to your sales plays point, David, I think they're really interesting issues that we can go and talk to our power customers about, and how we can help them invest to protect and invest to grow and invest in their technology to help them in those areas, rather than kind of bunker down and see where they fare.
Yes, exactly. And that was very much my thinking with Vital Data. That's what runs inside of IBM Power. And as you say, automate the way customers can access that, automate how you work with it, maybe change it from a kind of world where I've encountered an analogy recently about pets and cattle, where some of our power boxes can actually be treated a little bit like pets. So if I need to look after them, and I need to name them, and I need to care for them deeply, and changing things can be a bit problematic. Whereas actually maybe we should treat them a little bit more like cattle, and move them through with the automation kind of process, where actually if you have a few pets, fine. If you have more than three, getting a bit challenging, and you haven't really got the time to look after them. Whereas if we move them into a kind of production process with automation, then we can move the hardware through and keep the important stuff on top. But it has a certain life cycle. Move it on, change it, and we shall see what else. More to that another time, I'm sure. Mark, any thoughts along those lines?
No, I think I didn't. I don't think I saw the Arvin message, but Erica, I think you articulated it really well, and I was just kind of drawn in and listening to it and kind of thinking it over. Yeah, and I agree. I think we've been, certainly us as a team, and obviously the people that I work with really closely. We've been kind of on that message for a long time anyway, even if maybe the world wasn't in that particular situation. Certainly from power, we've always been using the reason to buy power and consolidate and scale and work more flexibly, as reasons to kind of simplify and improve your infrastructure as a customer, right? That's kind of how we've always tried to do it. In some ways, I kind of feel like we become more relevant right now. So it's almost like the world is catching up with the benefits of what we have to offer. And and you can kind of look at it from a corporate perspective and go, yes, we are a sales culture, and we want to sell more products, right? However, I think the way we all work is we want you to be putting the right stuff in the right place at the right time for you as a customer, because it is about you doing the right things when it works for you. And sometimes we are in a position where it almost feels like we're swimming upstream, at times.
Yes, at
But
times.
at times, but given the state of the world right now, actually we're seeing a lot of customers coming to us more willing to talk, because for the reasons that Erica shared, they're facing those situations, not just for right now, but for the future. And if we even look in the immediate future and we look at 2023, if there is something that you are going to have to do for your business in the short to medium term, right now is the cheapest price you will pay for anything you are looking to buy from. This is a power brand statement, right? But I'm assuming it's the same for other brands, because we know there are price increases coming. We know that the exchange rate is mad. We know that there are supply constraints worldwide. And unfortunately, in the world we live in, that's only drives everything one way. You've only got to go and try and do your Christmas shopping this year to realize you're going to pay a lot more than last year, right? And in a month and a quarter, an end of year like we're currently in, we have the opportunity to do more than we will be able to do next year. We know that. We are more willing right now to do more, because our costs are less than we're told they're going to be next year. So, we try to protect customers from those impacts as much as possible, in the same way as I'd like to think that people are protecting me from my energy prices, right? Or from my mortgage interest payments. And I do still have a mortgage, unfortunately. But yeah, so I think right now, we're going to see some changes next year. It's not, it's public knowledge. There are increases between kind of 8 and 15% on various products, potentially even more on some of our software, operating software products. And it's unfortunate, but I think what I would say is a bit like me looking for new energy prices, right? I have to have a conversation with those energy companies. I have to explain my situation. I have to work with them to get to the right outcome. And I think going into next year, that's what I would kind of implore people to do, is talk to us early. If you can, talk to us right now so that we can get involved. But worst case, talk to us early next year, because the earlier you talk, the earlier you can move, the earlier you can do things, the earlier you engage us, the more we can help, right? And I think for us as a team, we've always been of that mind that we want to help. And in my mind, if you're starting from a place where you want to help, rather than from a place where you want to make X amount of sales, that will follow. It's the right thing to do to help people. And if you help people, then you're coming, in my mind, you're coming from the right angle. So
And
yeah.
on the energy bills, after all, again, I just reshared a video from my friend Petra, after all, where she's talking about the work we've done with Bosch, and where that is a situation where we have 20% in performance improvement, but with, if I remember the numbers correctly, something like 75% energy reduction. So yes, we can do the right thing, and we can show that and demonstrate that with customers as well.
Yeah, and sustainability is huge right now, right? And whatever technology you purchase, it's not cheap to run it. So again, the world is catching up to power. Power has a unique story around sustainability. So it is good timing. And I feel certainly in UK and Ireland, and I'm sure around the world, we have the right team in place to help people make the most of that.
And we'll be getting together as a team. So we'll have the pleasure of quite a lot of us getting together in the hotel in Savoy on Thursday. And so I'm looking forward to seeing many of the team there, and possibly having a bit too much beer. That has happened before, and it might happen again. So, but actually physically meeting people and getting a chance to talk as we explore these different stresses and strains and different things going on, and new ideas, all of that can be very helpful to talk about.
And I won't be there, David. And no pressure to all those business partners who are listening. But yeah, thanks for the invite.
Fair point.
So, chaps, we're at time, and we didn't talk about Christmas, which only means one thing. We have to do another Christmas only based one where we don't talk about work and we only talk about Christmas. So I'll see you in 2 weeks for that conversation, because by then the 16th will be up and you won't be able to order any power anyway. So we've got to give the elves some time to build it and fly it out of Mexico. So
Well, we have to do it next week then, because otherwise I'll be on holiday. Because when it comes to the 16th last order date, I'm off. So yeah.
Next week it is then.
Next week it is then. See you soon.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks for joining us.